Hello everyone, Spit here, back in another Marvel content champion, and today I'm bringing you a top 10 list of the top 10 best buffs in MCOC. Now, in terms of like what I would consider, the best buffs, I'm thinking it's not like, okay, what champions that have been buffed are, the 10 best in the game. I'm more so looking at like a perspective of like, okay, how huge was the buff? Like, I'm thinking about characters that went from like meme tier to beyond god tier, or like I'm just looking for like the biggest gap. But yeah, starting at number 10, we actually got the most recent buff, and that is Blue Team Cyclops. So the reason that he is lower than most people might put him, because undoubtedly this is one of the best buffs in the game. Like, Cyclops went from a meme champion to like just someone who can output so much DPS. He has a true focus upon just like entering the fight, which allows him to counter. What does true focus counter? It counters miss, and I think one other thing, but I can't remember. I think it's auto block. Actually, I think we can check. Okay, evade and miss. So actually, evade I think comes into play more than auto block. So actually, that makes Blue Team Cyclops even better. But the reason he is lower than most people would probably put him in terms of buffs is just because he's still very new, and I think it's a lot of recency bias, but like you still can't deny how powerful this champion is now. So yeah, that is why he is number 10. And yeah, we're going to go on to another mutant who makes the number 9 spot. And that being someone I missed out on in the one event. What's it called? Where 6 champions got buffed during Christmas. Where is he? Deadpool XForce. So I think this guy is really crazy. Unfortunately, I missed out on him, and the gameplay you're seeing right now is of a rank 1, so it might not look super crazy, but like once you have this guy as like a rank 4 6-star, maxed out 6-star, you have him as a 7-star, the damage is just pretty insane with the bleeds. But like, that's not just because he got put a lot of damage doesn't make him one of the best characters, or one of the best buffs in the game. The reason I consider him one of the best buffs in the game is because of his Shableed debuffs, which is pretty funny. But it's like a bleed, but it's not a bleed. Meaning he can like basically bleed immune champions. Like, that in itself is just so insane. And just, yeah, his DPS output is super insane. Because he's not limited to like just champions who can be bled, just kind of skyrocket him in my opinion. And I definitely think that this is probably one of, if not the best buffs that we got in like December, where they buffed like one of each class of champion. Alright, but another insane champion is one that I just personally took up for a the Karina's challenges, or it was for one of the Necropolis challenges, and you see me clicking on him. It's Crossbones. So Crossbones is pretty crazy. He was already a decent champion, but I just think his buff really took him up to that next level, where he is able to just like completely dish out so much damage. He's able to shrug off so many debuffs. Like, he's definitely more worth it to play. And if you can play Crossbones and you master his playstyle, you can take down pretty much anybody, just with like brute force alone. But like, yeah, he can reduce ability accuracy, which is really nice. His constant fury gains gives him a unique a unique damage source where he's not really reliant on crits, because he actually can't crit, but whenever he would crit, he needs a fury buff. So that's pretty nice there. There's definitely a lot of characters who punish you for critting, so Crossbones is in that category where it's like, yeah, he doesn't really care about that. And also, because he gets so many furies, he can use things like buffed up, or if like things you want a lot of buffs for. He's very, very nice for that. And just, yeah, all around, Crossbones is such a good character. I would definitely consider him one of the best skill champions in the game. And he's definitely someone you should definitely invest a lot of time into mastering, because it will definitely help you in the long run. Now, another character who was pretty decent, but not really, was Chavez. So America Chavez had a lot going for her in her kit, but it just wasn't like at a good level, and she was pretty mid. And it definitely didn't help that she came out in the same month as Hercules, who completely overshadowed America Chavez. But after getting a pretty good buff, she just jumped up to like a top 5 Mystic champion. So that on itself is pretty insane. And I didn't really know like what America Chavez could do before the buff, but I can definitely tell you, after the buff, she is able to solo Necropolis fights even at rank 2. She is just super insane. You just really want to go for heavy attacks, get all of your negative zones up there, or your dark dimension, all of your dimension stuff, and you just launch these big special 2s, and she has a really nice counter to power gain, where she just can completely reverse power gain if you have enough negative zones, which can you could just use to cheese some fights where you could just keep reducing their power or reversing their power gain, and then you could just keep heavying in the corner. And yeah, her heavy attacks hit super hard, and in basic combo you can cancel your basic combo into a heavy attack, because you do want to use your heavy attacks because that's how you get your dimensions. And yeah, she's just super insane, can output lots of damage as you can see, and has really good utility, especially after buff. And yeah, she's just a really, really good champion. Yeah, if you don't know the power of America Chavez, I'm sure you've just seen it. She is pretty insane now, and is definitely worth ranking up. Another character that I think got a pretty good buff, albeit being pretty decent when they released, is Red Guardian. Now, the reason I put Red Guardian above America Chavez is because I find his ramp to be a lot more faster, and it's a lot you got a lot more burst damage. And also, I like his utility of being buff immune, because there are a lot of cases where you don't want buffs on you, and he can completely turn off nodes and fights just for being buff immune. I just like his utility more, and he does a lot more burst damage, and his ramp is a lot more faster. So that's why I personally put Red Guardian above America Chavez. But even before the buff, he was pretty decent. The only problem was you needed him SIG 200 to have a chance at dealing big bursts of damage. But the buff kind of just fixed that and made him a lot more a lot more reliable. He still really likes the SIG ability, but it's no longer necessary in my opinion. And I think for that alone, that just makes Red Guardian so much better of a buff, because it just turned a decent champ not only into a really good champ, but also just fixed him into a usable champ. And so yeah, that's why I would definitely consider him to be a better buff than America Chavez. And staying in the science class, we have Hulk. So OG Hulk, number 5, just has one of the he went from meme to yeah, I consider him a meme, to just someone who could just stun lock you into oblivion. And it's so easy to accomplish. You just get your 15 Furies, or you can even cancel that with a heavy attack and activate Gamma Charge. And once you're in Gamma Charge, you could just put on such long stuns with the special one. And Hulk before the buff was a pretty good stun locker. It was RNG based, but it was a pretty good chance to stun. And yeah, the stun was pretty good and allowed Hulk to cheese a lot of stuff. The only problem is he didn't have the damage. So even though if he could stun you for long periods of time, there's always that chance where he wouldn't get the stun, and then this opponent would just special 3 and kill you. But with this buff, Hulk's not only is his stun longer, it's guaranteed, and he has the damage to make sure he can kill somebody before the stun lock goes away. So it just made Hulk such a easy champion. He's such a consistent champion. He can dish out so much value, and there's not a lot of fights where you can't just Hulk it. The only things I can think of is if they can just shrug off your stun, or if they're stun immune. Outside of that, you can pretty much use Hulk for anything, and you can get the fight down pretty easy without much worry. Again, it's just all about getting to that Gamma Charge state where you could just start launching special ones for a pretty hefty stun. I'm sure you could see in one of these clips here, the stun is so long, I just stand there for a good solid 10 seconds, I think. And it's just Hulk is just such a free champion if you're able to pull him, and yeah, he's probably definitely one of the best 7-stars you can pull, just because of his ease of use. And he has some nice immunities to, he has a poison immunity, and he has really high physical resistance as well. Like, Hulk is just such a fantastic champion, and a little biased, I love Hulk, and I just love being able to, use the Hulk, and feel like the Hulk. Just definitely one of the better buffs because of that reason alone, because it actually makes you feel like the strongest one there is. We're now going to the not the Mystic, this is the Tech class. We're now going to the Tech class for one of the most annoying defenders in the game, and that being Red Skull. So Red Skull went from like probably just someone who hit like a noodle to someone who can actually dish out some damage, and is actually probably one of the most annoying champions on defense. He doesn't have a lot of counters to him, but like you definitely want to counter to Red Skull. Red Skull is just so crazy now. He's definitely someone I personally struggle with the most. He's just so annoying to deal with. Red Skull has always been kind of annoying to deal with. But after his buff, his special 1, he gains an auto block charge. His special 2, he gains a really long unstoppable. Like, he is just super annoying to deal with because there's a lot going on in the fight with, auto blocks, unstoppable. You really want someone who can armor break or get rid of those armors, or, just someone who's immune to, like, his power burn. Just very, very annoying now, and he just has so many things to deal with now that just make him such an annoying defender. And yeah, on top of that, he's just now a really useful attacker as well. He went from, one of the worst skilled or worst tech champions to now one of the best tech champions, and someone you definitely want to rank up if you take Battleground seriously. Alright, jumping back to the Mutant class, because the Mutants has just, had so many good, like, home run buffs. They have just been some of the craziest buffs in the game. And Magneto was probably the first buff we've seen where we truly got to see, like, what a champion buff could be. He really set the standard for champion buffs, and it was definitely in a good way. Because if the opponent is metal, he just absolutely destroys them. He can just instantly counter so many fights if the opponent is metal, because he could just turn that fight off by his magnetism, reducing their ability accuracy. And yeah, that just makes him really annoying on defense and just limits the amount of people that can take him on by like a third of the game. And if you can counter a third of the game by just existing, you gotta be crazy. And yeah, just Magneto, just build up your heavies, build up your palaces, launch that big special 3, and the opponent just dies. Like, Magneto can just literally, like the special 3, just turn you into a ball and just crush you up. Because yeah, he's the master of magnetism. He should be pretty crazy. And yeah, I could definitely safely say he is. And man, I can still remember seeing like the announcement for his buff and seeing the teaser of what he can do, and it's still crazy to this day. And like I said, staying in the Mutant class, we got Mr. Sinister, who definitely had one of, as you can see, he had one of the best buffs in the game. There's still one champion who had a better buff, but like, this guy just went from meme to arguably the best of his class. Like, that's how good he is. You got characters like Onslaught in the game, and people are still saying like, Mr. Sinister might be better. Like, that's crazy to me. And it's definitely like not without evidence, or there's a lot to support that or back it up. Like, this guy is crazy now. If you can get him awakened, he becomes like a nice ramp up champion where he can like increase his regen potency, his power rate, his crit. It's really nice. And on top of that, he has a unique damage source, being Degeneration, which is probably one of the best damage sources in the game, as well as, along with Rupture, because there's really no champions that are immune to degen. And so that just makes him able to be useful in, more fights than other dot champions. And being able to just keep pausing the degens with a heavy attack for long periods of time, like, the opponents can just melt. And he has nice utility with that special 2, being able to, it's a pretty nice, potent concussion that, once again, you can pause. And he also has that safety net of the special 3 with the power leech, So if you're playing against special 3, if you're able to get to the special 3 or you have a special 3, you can launch it and power leech, and you can, again, pause the power leech with your heavy attack. He is super recoil as friendly. He is insane if you have the Mr. Sinister relic. He has so much regen potential, like easily just one of the best buffs in the game. But the best buff, I think we all know it. He's in the Mystic class. I don't even have him as a 7-star, but I really want him. That being Juggernaut. And you will see that in the gameplay that I show here while I'm talking about him, this is a rank 2, and he is dealing damage of like that some champions at rank 5 can't even deal. Like he is pretty darn crazy, even as a like 6-star rank 2. Like you could probably see, like you get some big special 2s, and there's just so many fights that you could just use Juggernaut for, and he just becomes like, he just is a nuke of a champion. He definitely had one of the best buffs in the game, and oh my god, I don't even know how to say it. Like what else to say? It's just he does so much damage, and I find it so funny that the reason he is so good is not because of insane utility or immunities or anything like that. It's just because he could deal so much damage so quickly, and he's so easy to use. I just find that so funny. Like Juggernaut, like one of the best mystics in the game. He's simply there because of how much damage he deals. That's just funny to me. And now, I will say, with the buff, he became a lot worse on defense, to where he's not really strong on defense anymore, whereas he used to be kind of annoying on defense. But to be fair, with all the defenders that Kabam's releasing, you know, all the 5 out of 5 defenders, I'll definitely take a Juggernaut being as good as he is, but less of a defender. I'll definitely take that, you know, 10 times out of 10 times. He's just such a champion that you just need in your roster. And I definitely need him in my roster. He's probably my most wanted champion in the game. But yeah, I gotta go now. But yeah, I gotta go carrying groceries now, and I think that wrapped up everything. Let me know what champions you think got the best buffs in the comments below. And we'll definitely, next list will be looking at the 10 worst buffs in the game. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and goodbye.